We have spent the last 6 weeks absolutely drowning in miniatures, rule books the size of novels, and boss fights that lasted longer than my last relationship. We played Oathsworn, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, and Primal The Awakening back to back, and I'm just gonna say it, one of these broke me.
It broke both of us, let's be honest. But yeah, we've been living in these massive campaign worlds, playing them side by side to answer the ultimate buy this, not that question for boss battlers. And honestly, the answer isn't as simple as buy the most expensive one.
Definitely not. If anything, the price tag might be inversely proportional to how much fun we actually had. Let's get into the weeds of these behemoths.
So just to set the stage for everyone listening, we didn't just dabble, we committed. We've been playing Shadowborn Games' Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, Into the Unknown's massive Aeon Trespass Odyssey, and Reggie Games' Primal The Awakening. These are the titans of the genre right now.
And when we say titans, we mean it. Aeon Trespass, or ATO as we've been calling it, dropped in 2022 with this insane Greek mythology meets Evangelion premise. You're piloting 30-foot titans against these primordials. It's huge. Then you have Oathsworn, also from 2022, which is this gritty, dark fantasy where you're mercenaries in a forest that hates you. And finally, Primal, which just landed in 2024 after a massive delay, which is basically Monster Hunter the board game, but with cards.
The context here is huge because we played them back to back, and the contrast was jarring. We'd finish a session of Primal, which felt like a tight, competitive card puzzle, and then switch to Aeon Trespass the next night, which felt like managing a spreadsheet while reading a choose-your-own-adventure book, and Oathsworn sat somewhere in the middle.
It's funny you mentioned the spreadsheet thing because that really colors how we see the mechanics. Let's talk about the core loops because playing them consecutively really highlighted how different they are. Like in Oathsworn, that battle flow system was a revelation for me.
Oh, absolutely. The battle flow in Oathsworn is brilliant. You play cards around your player board, and they cycle back to your hand based on what you play next. In our sessions, it created this amazing rhythm. Remember that fight against the Broodmother? I was setting up that combo for 3 turns, pushing cards around my board so I could hit the cooldown perfectly. It felt so fluid.
Yeah, until you decided to use the push your luck dice mechanic and rolled 2 blanks on a crit attempt. That's the other thing. Oathsworn mixes that elegant card flow with raw dice chucking. It's tactical, but then you just gamble it all. Compared to Aeon Trespass, though, Oathsworn felt like a walk in the park mechanically.
Ugh, Aeon Trespass, man! Look, the inverted combat paradigm sounds cool on paper. You get stronger as you take damage, and the boss gets stronger as it gets hurt. But in practice, our sessions were 15 minutes of excitement, sandwiched between 90 minutes of checking rules.
Exactly. In our first battle with the Hecaton, I remember we spent more time looking up keywords than moving minis. You take a wound, which raises your rage, which unlocks a card, but then the primordial reacts, which triggers a fate card, which moves a terrain tile. It was exhausting. It's barely controlled chaos.
Okay, but when it clicked, that moment when my Titan was 1 hit from death, fully powered up, and I managed to chain that god form attack, that was a high Oathsworn didn't quite hit, but I admit, it's a mess. And then you pivot to Primal, which was the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Primal was fascinating because it stripped all that fluff away. It's just a boss fight. No map exploration really, just the hunt. The mechanics are purely card-driven, deck building. You play a sequence of cards to trigger combos. It felt less like a brawl and more like solving a math equation.
A violent math equation. But you're right, in our Primal games, once we knew the monster's behavior deck, which is a great mechanic by the way, we were literally calculating optimal damage. If I play red, blue, red, I dodge the tail swipe and hit for 4. It's deterministic. There's very little luck compared to the dice in Oathsworn or the chaos decks in Aeon TO.
That brings us to the win conditions, actually. Primal is so straightforward. Kill the monster before you run out of health or time. Oathsworn is similar. Kill the boss parts. But Aeon Trespass? Do you remember how confused we were about how to actually win the campaign?
Oh my god, yes! In Aeon Trespass, you can lose the campaign in like 12 different ways. Run out of crew, lose. Timeline runs out, lose. Doom track too high, lose. We were constantly stressing about the metagame layers. In our playthrough, we felt like we were walking a tightrope. Meanwhile, Oathsworn is incredibly forgiving. You lose a fight, you just get less loot and move on.
which I actually didn't love about Oathsworn. The stakes felt lower. In Aeon Trespass, I was terrified of losing because the punishment was brutal. In Oathsworn, if we wiped, the story just said, you retreat, licking your wounds, and we kept going. But let's talk about the complexity, because BGG ratings don't tell the whole story.
Yeah, Board Game Geek lists Aeon Trespass at a 4.74 weight, and honestly, that feels accurate. It's one of the heaviest games we've ever played. Teaching it was a nightmare. Remember that first session? We took 3 hours just to explain the basic anatomy of a turn before we even rolled a die.
And we still got rules wrong. 20 hours in, we realized we were doing the knockdown reactions wrong. It's a lifestyle game in the strictest sense. If you stop playing for 2 weeks, you will forget how to play. Primal isn't light, sitting around a 3.8, but the complexity is different.
Primal's complexity is cognitive load. The rules are simple. Play cards, monster reacts. But tracking all the triggers, like when you play a red card, do X. If the monster has 3 struggle tokens, do Y. That fried my brain. We were constantly staring at our reference sheets.
Whereas Oathsworn has that brilliant companion system. When we taught our friend Mike, we just gave him a companion character. He didn't have to manage a full deck, just moved and attacked. It's easily the most accessible of the 3. I felt comfortable with the rules by the second encounter.
Yeah, Oathsworn hides its complexity well. It has depth, but it doesn't smash you in the face with it like ATO does. And that accessibility really impacts how often we actually wanted to get it to the table.
Which leads me to scaling, because this was the biggest shock of our playthroughs. We played these at 2, 3, and 4 players, and Primal, oh boy.
Primal at 4 players was a disaster. I'm sorry, I know people love it, but sitting there for 10 minutes while 3 other people agonizingly optimized their card combos was brutal. It's solitaire multiplayer. You can't really plan your turn until the person before you finishes because the monster reacts to them.
Exactly. In our 4-player session, I checked my phone constantly. But at 2 players, Primal sings. It's snappy, you can coordinate. Contrast that with Oathsworn, which I thought handled 4 players beautifully.
Oathsworn worked at 4 because of the battle flow interaction. I needed you to use your ability to push my cooldowns, so I was watching your turn like a hawk. We were actually coordinating. Hit the tail so I can target the head. It felt like a team sport.
And then there's Aeon Trespass. It says 1 to 4 players on the box, but that is a lie. It is a lie printed on cardboard.
It's a 1 or 2 player game hard stop. When we tried it with 3, the downtime was excruciating because the admin overhead is so high. One person is rolling dice, another's checking the chart, the third is reading the AI card. It's a mess. But playing it solo or duo, it's manageable.
So if you're a group of 4, Oathsworn's the only real contender here. But let's pivot to the actual brain burn, the strategic depth, because Aeon Trespass is complex, but is it deep?
That's the million-dollar question. In our sessions, ATO felt complex, but a lot of it was just procedural complexity. I wasn't always making interesting decisions, I was just resolving triggers. Oh, I got knocked back, now I check for collision, now I check for trauma. The strategy is there, managing your rage is cool, but it's buried under so much paperwork.
Whereas Primal is pure strategy. It's almost too much strategy. Because it's deterministic, there is a correct move. We found ourselves paralyzed trying to find the perfect sequence. It rewards skill heavily. If you lose in Primal, it's because you played bad. If you lose in ATO, it's because you drew a you die card from the Fate deck.
Hey, that's a bit harsh. But okay, yeah, the randomness in ATO is wild. Oathsworn strikes that balance again. You have the battle flow puzzle, which is strategic, but the dice add that push your luck element. It feels deeper than it looks because managing those cooldowns requires planning 3 turns ahead.
I think Primal has the highest skill ceiling, though. After we need that fire dragon the second time, we did it with half the resources because we had solved the puzzle. It felt rewarding in a very cerebral way. But it lacked the emotional highs of the other 2.
Speaking of emotional highs, let's talk about player interaction. We touched on it with scaling, but the vibe of playing together was so different. In Oathsworn, we were high-fiving when a combo landed.
Yeah, Oathsworn is pure cooperation. There's no friction. We're a squad. In Primal, even though we're working together, it felt isolated. I'm doing my combo, you're doing yours. The assist cards exist, but they're minor.
And in ATO, the interaction is mostly just shared trauma. Oh god, we're all going to die because the timeline advanced.
We discussed strategy on the map layer, where to sail the ship, what tech to research, which was actually really engaging, but in combat, it was chaotic parallel play.
The map layer in ATO? We haven't even talked about the pacing. That game is huge. We spent 25 hours just in Cycle 1, and we weren't even close to done. The pacing is weird, though. You have these long exploration phases, then a massive boss fight.
The pacing in ATO is, difficult. We had sessions where we didn't fight anything. We just read story text and managed the ship, and then other sessions were a 3-hour boss grind. Primal is the opposite. Setup, hunt, craft, done. 90 minutes, boom.
Primal's respect for my time was amazing, but Oathsworn felt the most like a TV show. Episode, fight, story, cliffhanger. The fights are usually 60 to 90 minutes, and setup is fast. We could actually get a session done on a weeknight. ATO, weekend only. Dedicated table only.
Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or the titan in the room, the table presence and components. Aeon Trespass comes in a box that weighs 22 kilograms. I threw out my back lifting it.
The storage for ATO is a crime against humanity. We had to buy third-party organizers just to make it playable. And the table space? We needed a 6-foot table just for the map, the boards, the tokens. It took over the dining room for a month.
But the minis, wow. The interchangeable parts on the primordials, seeing the Titan actually climb onto the monster, that spectacle is unmatched. Primal has great minis too, but the box bloat is annoying. Why does it need so many boxes for just a few cards and minis?
Practically, Oathsworn had the best production to usability ratio. The armory, where you swap weapons on the minis, is a gimmick, but a really fun one. And the standee version being an option is a godsend for people who don't want to paint 100 pounds of plastic.
Agreed. Plus, Oathsworn has those massive story journals and the narration app, which brings us to theme. Because for me, Oathsworn wins this hands down.
Oh, 100%. The writing in Oathsworn is novel quality. The atmosphere of the Deepwood, the green mud, the wire roads, it sucked us in. I cared about my character. In Primal, the theme is just kill monster, get pants.
Kill monster, get pants is the perfect description. It's very video gamey. The theme is pasted onto the mechanics. Why am I drawing cards to swing a sword? Who knows? But in Aeon Trespass, the theme is epic, but it's dense. It's high-concept Greek sci-fi philosophizing. I loved it, but I know you zoned out during the long readings.
I didn't zone out. I just rested my eyes during the 4-page monologue about the nature of divinity. But you're right, Oathsworn felt grounded and gritty. ATO felt grandiose. Primal felt arcadey.
So, cost and value. These are all expensive. Primal is like $300 plus all in. ATO is premium pricing. Oathsworn is the cheapest if you get the standee version, around $154.
Value is tricky here. Aeon Trespass gives you 300 hours of content. Mathematically, it's the best value. But will you actually play it? We're burnt out after 30 hours. Oathsworn is a tight 40 to 50 hour campaign, which feels achievable. Primal is short, 12 missions, unless you replay it.
But Primal is the most replayable. Because it's a puzzle, I want to try it with different hunters. Oathsworn, once I know the story, I'm largely done. I'm not replaying a 50-hour narrative just to see a slightly different ending text.
Yeah, fair point. So it really comes down to what kind of fun you're looking for. Oathsworn is adventure fun. It's hanging out with friends, rolling dice, and hearing a cool story.
Right, and Aeon Trespass is lifestyle fun. It's for the person who wants to disappear into a world and master an insanely complex system over months. It's almost a second job, but a cool one.
And Primal is competitive puzzle fun. It's for the people who love optimizing, who get a dopamine hit from a perfect card sequence. It's intense and brain-burning, but in short bursts.
Okay, moment of truth. We've played them all, we've argued about them, let's give the people the verdict. Buy this, not that.
All right, buy Oathsworn if you have a consistent group of 3 to 4 friends who want a shared narrative experience without needing a PhD to understand the rules. It's the most balanced, the most atmospheric, and the most respectful of your time.
Agreed. And not that, skip Oathsworn if you hate dice randomness, or if you're looking for a hardcore brain-melting strategy game. It might be too light for the heavy Euro crowd.
Buy Aeon Trespass Odyssey if you are a solo player or a dedicated duo with a permanent gaming table, and you want the deepest, most ambitious board game experience currently in existence. If you want to get lost in a world, this is it.
But not that. Absolutely do not buy ATO. If you have a group of 4, if you hate checking rulebooks every 5 minutes, or if you get frustrated by bookkeeping, it will crush you.
And finally, buy Primal The Awakening if you love Monster Hunter, if you play primarily at 2 players, and if you value tight, deterministic gameplay over story. It's the best boss battler in terms of pure combat mechanics.
But not that. Skip Primal if you want a sprawling adventure, or if you play with 4 people. Seriously, at 4 players, it's a snooze fest. And if you want value for money without replaying content, the short campaign might sting at that price point.
Pros and cons debate? For me, Oathsworn's pros: atmosphere, bottle flow, accessibility. Cons: limited replayability, storage is meh.
Rapid fire. Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Pros: insane amount of content, incredible minis, deep narrative. Cons: rules overhead is oppressive, setup takes forever, portability is 0.
Matching pace. Primal's pros: best combat system, high skill ceiling, snappy playtime. Cons: 0 narrative immersion, box bloat, terrible 4-player scaling.
So, the final recommendation. We've played them all, we're keeping Oathsworn.
Yeah, I think so. Oathsworn is the one I actually want to get to the table on a Friday night. Aeon Trespass is impressive, but it's exhausting. Primal is great, but it feels a bit soulless compared to the others. Oathsworn hits that sweet spot of fun, story, and tactics.
Although I might keep ATO set up in the basement just to stare at those minis. But for actually playing, Oathsworn takes the crown for the average group. Just be prepared for the green mud sucking at your boots.
Thanks for suffering through the boss battles with us. Hopefully, we saved your wallet some pain, even if we couldn't save our own sanity. We're Board Game Critique, and we'll see you in the next one.
Try not to get eaten by a primordial. See ya.